Hello, my name is Blessyn Kure, and today I'll be joining the law faculty at Griffith College, Dublin, to speak on the panel for the Black History Month celebration. The theme is standing firm in power and pride, and I'm going to take you with me.
We're going to get started with our questions. So I'm going to start with Blessyn, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Blessyn, could you just please tell us, what does standing firm in power and pride mean to you in both a personal and professional capacity? And to those in the audience, that is ultimately the theme of Black History Month in the UK and Ireland this year, is standing firm in power and pride. So if you will, it is what our panel discussion for today will encompass through our questions and discussions with the panel.
Thank you very much for that question. I will start by saying I only became Black in Europe. And this is to take from Chimamanda Adichie's quote from 2023 edition of The Atlantic, her publication, and I'll read that verbatim just so I don't misquote it. It says, "I became Black in America, and it was not choice. My chocolate-colored skin saw to that revelation. I had never before that thought of myself as Black. I did not need to, because although Britain's colonization left Nigeria with many cursed legacies, it didn't leave racial identity as one of them. And up until when I started traveling to Europe for work, before I then moved to Ireland for school, I never considered myself Black. So to me, this new identity of Blackness, first, I am Nigerian, a very proud Nigerian. I would always say I'm Nigerian. And for me, this new identity of Blackness is something I am also learning, because in Ireland, it's the census. I will use the census because that is categorized. The Central Statistics Office would say there are about like 67,000 plus Black and Irish of African migrants of African background, and then there's about 8,900 or so of Black, Irish, and other backgrounds. So I fall under that background, and I'm learning to accept that. So standing firm in power and pride to me would mean showing up as your authentic self in every space possible. I'm wearing a very brightly colored Ankara outfit. So
it's beautiful.
Thank you so much. So you can see that like I am pretty comfortable with that. So fashion would be a form of expression for me. And excellence and getting things done the best possible way would also be a way that I stand firm in power and pride. I will, if you see opportunities, for instance, and you're thinking, oh, should I take this up? Should I not take this up? Oh, are the odds stacked against me? Yes. Standing firm in power and pride to me would mean filling that form regardless. Let the people decide to rule you out. I would never rule myself out first.
Thank you so much. Joy-Tendai, I am very curious to know your opinions on standing firm in power and pride, especially from your profession as a barrister at law within a jurisdiction, if you will, that's predominantly Caucasian and doesn't necessarily have the biggest population of practitioners who are people of color. How would that stand towards you in showcasing what it means to you in regards to standing firm in your power and pride?
Thank you so much, Precious. And firstly, I'd like to thank everyone in this room, because I think it's so important that we recognize that Black history is not only dedicated to people of African descent or those who identify as Black. Black history is world history. Without Black history, some of the things that have happened in the world would not have happened. So really, I'd like to thank you for coming in to listen to this discussion and to be part of it, and for the recognition of it. So standing in power and pride, as you said, Ireland does not have a lot of barristers that identify as Black or of African descent. And one of the things that I do, as you might see, is those who saw me walking in, I do not carry designer bags. All my bags are African inspired bags for court. I bring Africa with me in every room I go. I dress in African. My jewelry is created in Africa, and that's the first point of standing in my power, and people saying that I am a very happy or confident Black woman and an African woman. So I would say, it's all a matter of choice. I've made my choice that in terms of any of my accessories, I give back to the African continent. I've got women that design my accessories, they design my handbags, and that leads to education. Power and pride is not forgetting where I come from. As in the introduction, born in Zimbabwe, but grew up grew part of my life in South Africa, and the blackness was put on me. It was a label that, in the most, not in the most positive of ways, but to be identified as black. And I know that we have a few people from Japanese, konnichiwa, iwata Joy-Tendai. And one of the things that really transpired was when I lived in Hokkaido and Tokyo, is that the Japanese accepted me because of our traditional. So that part of living in societies that do accept you for your individuality makes us being able to stand in our pride and not hide between. And also, as people say, braid wearing barrister. I wear my hair in every African hairstyle. I am going to go into court as authentic as I can. So
Thank you, Joy-Tendai. Lastly, Aishah, what would the theme mean to you in regards to standing firm in your power and pride?
So for me, standing firm in power and pride it's something that when I saw this question, it's something that I was like, okay, let me actually sit back and think about this, because I realized that for me, as someone who was born and raised in Ireland, and the only time I've been out of Ireland was the 3 days I moved to Belfast and came back home because the pandemic hit during my master's. So for me, like my whole life, I grew up in a place where the majority of people do not look like me. But I'm blessed to have grown up in a very African household as well. But unfortunately, I love the fact that I grew up in Ireland. I'm very grateful for that very fact. But obviously that also caused a lot of struggles with self-identity. And I think for me, I was not able to really stand firm in, I guess, who I am as a Black woman, without learning to, I guess, reprogram my mind to love myself as a Black woman. And that took a lot of unlearning. That took a lot of just internal discovery of everything. And I'll be honest, it's something I'm still discovering till today, especially after being crowned Miss Universe Ireland. And unfortunately, the eye-opening reality of being a Black representative of a country that is majority white does come with a lot of angry people. I call them gremlins. And so obviously for me, like, it took a lot for me to be able to say that I am standing firm in power and pride. But yeah, as I said, it is just a situation of me trying to learn to love myself, trying to find my identity. And this sounds crazy, but I've only been to Nigeria. By the way, I'm Nigerian. My parents are Nigerian. And I've only been to Nigeria twice in my life. Once when I was 9 years old for a week. I don't remember any of it. And I remember one thing, actually. I remember how hot it was. And the second was in May this year. And that was the first time I was able to be in a space where I didn't have to think, oh my God, I'm a Black woman. So when you were speaking about your experience of coming to Europe and that's your first time actually having to be like, okay, like, I'm a Black woman, I'm being, I guess, identified by the color of my skin. For me, that's been my whole life. And then when I got to Nigeria, I was like, this is different. Like, I can think of everything else except for the color of my skin. And I think it's extremely important to have like Black History initiatives, especially during Black History Month, especially as well now during the current climate that we're facing in Ireland as well, and the current racial climate that we're facing in Ireland as well. And yeah, so I'm really, first of all, I just want to say I'm really glad that all of you guys are here, and I'm really glad to be sitting alongside the two of you because I'm learning already so much from the two of you. So yeah, that's
Thank you so much, Aisha. And I think that turns very nicely to my next question. For Joy-Tendai, firstly, if that's okay, is could you share a pivotal moment in your career where you had to stand your ground or really assert your voice in despite the challenges you were facing?
That's almost every day. I think people take for granted I'm very much a strong believer on the meaning of names. And I know when I first moved to Ireland and having grown up, I went to predominantly private schools back home and I wanted to fit in and I didn't understand why my name was. So at the beginning of, let's say, moving to Ireland and growing up, I always used to introduce myself as Joy, although on all my documents, it is my name is hyphenated as in Anne Marie. So Joy-Tendai, which means joy is the joy, and Tendai means gratitude. And that is a very important, those are names that were not just given out of a whim, but my parents made a conscious decision. So in terms of standing my ground is that a lot of people do address me as Joy, and I have to always say, no, it's not Joy, it's Joy-Tendai. It's reclaiming who I am, reclaiming the journeys and struggles of my ancestors, and honoring my parents, who are now both deceased, to know that I've reclaimed the person and my identity of who I am. So it is a pivotal moment. I always have to say it. So it's not a one. I think that's the most important that I'd like people to really realize, and I always say to people, if you can say Anne Marie, you can say Joy-Tendai. So it is important. I think that's a daily struggle, and to say that is the most pivotal point for me.
Perfect, thank you. And Blessing, in regards to the same question, what would be a pivotal moment for you in your career where you had to really stand your ground and assert your voice?
I would say most recently, and I'm trying to tie it back to Ireland because I have lived many lives. I did travel a lot lived across all geopolitical zones in Nigeria, and I think 30 out of 36 states. I absolutely enjoyed traveling and being in new spaces, learning and relearning. And thankfully, my parents were happy to let me just wander around and just uproot and reroute because they trusted that I will be fine and I would learn and would always touch base with them. So I would speak on my most recent experience, and that would be after university when I started working at the media station. I was like, oh, I used to, before coming here, do videos. So like using travel to portray the interactions between humans and just societal interactions around the sustainability development goals, as well as the African Union Vision 2063, and just those things. So while traveling, it would still be around, sustainability, or what are you seeing? What are the experiences of women in this space? What are the experiences of youth in this space? And just looking at that from different places you go to, and you'd be surprised if you start to look at life through that lens, you'd be surprised as to what you would find. And I decided to get on TikTok because I do public speaking, I do like voiceovers and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I'm trying to test my foot in the Irish waters. And I have to say, you held up so nicely, like, because with the trolling, and you mentioned that it was overwhelming for me the first day because I started a whole new account. I'm like, let's see what the experience is like. And the first video, I think I was wearing another version of this because this would be like my signature look, like a kaftan and pants and stuff. And I made a video about, oh my god, it's so hot, the sun is out, and I just dropped my phone and like got around my day. And by the time I opened it, I had hundreds of trolling comments, being called everything from an ape to the N-word, to you ditched your passport, to a nibbling whatever, like a scavenger, like you're trying to get resources, and I'm a tax-paying, fully employed person. And now being trolled online on like Nigerian Twitter or whatever, that's okay. Like I would like to say I have a tough skin. But I was taken aback because the video I made was talking about how lovely the weather was and the fact that I was getting to wear my sandals for the first time in months. And I don't think I ever accepted this, like spoke to my family about it, but like I just froze because I was like, oh my god, that is a lot of negativity for the one day, because I'd never been in that position, and like everyone I've interacted with had been pleasant. I attended Griffith College, and if you're here, you would really never feel whatever anybody's saying outside, because it's so welcoming. The lecturers are really good. The students, everyone is just really grand here. And even at my job, like everyone is fantastic and everyone I meet is lovely. So the internet it took me a while. So I could post a selfie and till this day, I still get like every day, at least on a good day, 5. On a good day, 5. On a bad day, it runs into the hundreds. And I think my parents called and were like, "Are you okay? That is a lot of insults. Like, did you do anything to take anybody off? La la la." I'm like, "No, I just spoke about the weather." They're like, "The weather? What do you want to do about it? Do you want to close the account and stop?" And I thought about it, extensively. And I decided to keep posting, because it felt to me like I was letting myself be silenced, and that would never be a Blessyn MO, not in this life or the next. So I said I was going to keep posting. So I would get trolly comments, but I would sometimes reply if I have the time with like a heart shape, "Hope your day was lovely, darling," kind of thing. And at some point, I think they just got tired and they let me. And other people then started to come to the post to be like, "Oh, your fit is really nice." And they were like, "Oh my God, this is such a dark comment section." And other people started to reply. And I think that was something that I learned through the horrible experience, that I left up those comments, because the first thing they're telling you is close your comment section. Don't let people be able to insult you. Close your comment section, delete the comments. And I would report them, and platforms would say this doesn't count as a bad comment. So close your comment section. I'm like, you know what? Every time you say this happened to me, it is, "Oh, it's not that bad, you're grand." But if you leave it there long enough for everyone to see, it holds a mirror up to society. So I just left it there. And over time, other people come up like, "This is such a horrible thing to say to this girl. She was literally just talking about the weather." And people started commenting. And that was how, like, I'm only just finding my audience here. But I have received a lot more warmth. And even now when trolls come at me or whatever, I don't even reply. Other people reply on my behalf, and they're like, "Oh, leave her." Like, I have people who would residently be my comment section fighting other people. And I just felt that 360 was a very wholesome experience for me to feel, because else, if I had closed it at the time, I would believe this is the Ireland that is, and I would never have met these other really lovely people who would be like, we don't stand for this is horrible, don't do this. And I think that was it. That was an experience I had to really stand my ground on.
Thank you for sharing. I think it's very insightful to see how one faces the gremlins, trolls, haters, whatever term there is to use them, but negative people all around. Thank you for sharing. And in regards to my next question is for Aishah, and I'm very curious to see it from the standpoint of someone who's necessarily in the life, if you will. You encapsulate the life, to be very honest, in regards to what it means to be a Black woman in the beauty and public industry. So what I'd really love to know is someone who, are you okay?
Sorry, you touched my
I'm so sorry.
I don't know if you guys know, but literally, like what you were saying about the comment sections, like obviously, like everyone says, like it's actually really hard when obviously you're just posting about the weather and someone is commenting something horrible, and I haven't like cried about this in a year. I thought I got over this, but obviously, like because obviously I feel like I was one of the, I don't want to say one of the first. I'd say like Katya, Katya, the presenter of 6 o'clock show, would have probably been one of the first to be getting such horrible comments online. And then obviously when I became Miss Universe Ireland, I got so many horrible comments. And like till now, I can't even post that I went to go eat in town without somebody finding the most horrific thing to say. But obviously for me, I was just like, oh, it comes with the industry. But obviously, like now, like I've seen so many videos of like young girls, young men posting them walking, dancing, and of course, like they're getting horrible comments saying, "Get out of this country, go back to your country," or getting called names and stuff like that. And for me, I've just been like, as for me, I'm like, it comes with the industry, it's fine. You chose to, you know, you chose to represent a country that, you know, you're not the majority person. Obviously, representation is so important, and I know we're definitely going to get into that soon. But like, just thinking about what it's like for other people who are just trying to live and post on TikTok like everyone else in the world. It's just really hard to like, for me, comprehend how like they're able to keep going when they're literally just trying to live their lives. So sorry guys, I'm not trying to make it about me. I'm just like literally it's just I don't know, it's just getting in my head. But let's get to the question that you were going to ask.
No, you touched upon it really amazingly, because I think, as you mentioned, Katia, her full name is Katia Maya. She's on the 6 o'clock show, and Katia is a beautiful person inside and out, and I think she's mainly targeted because she's a darker, complex woman who's in the media and is showcasing the beauty of what it means to be human, a light, and just to be oneself. So has unfortunately fallen target, and it's unfortunate that you've all faced that to a degree also. But I think, Aishah, you are such a beacon. I think it shows itself even with our learners in stage 1 of the LL.B, who are women of color, being excited to come see you and meet you and understand who you are, because you represent that light, if you will. You are almost a representation of, as a hope at the end of the tunnel of, if she can do that, if Katia can do that, if Joy-Tendai can do that, if Blessyn can do that, I can do it. And I think a great thing that I would love to know is, within, I guess, the complexities of being on social media and just existing, unfortunately, what it has come to, with people picking at not just women of color, but men of color also, what strategies have you really developed as, if you will, a coping mechanism to ultimately exist within this complexities of people hating for the sake of being haters?
Gremlins. So honestly, the number one strategy that I will forever follow is just showing up authentically as yourself regardless. When it comes to me, my number one thing that I try to do every single day in life is to just live a life of love and showing love to people who I guess maybe projecting something that's going on in their life. I always say to look at me as an example of that, because a lot of people would look at me, but you wouldn't think that I have like crazy things going on in life. And just recently on Dancing with the Stars, I spoke about the fact that I have sickle cell. And for those of you guys who don't know, it's a blood disorder. So majority of people in this world have red blood cells shaped circular, shaped like an orange, and then unfortunately mine are shaped like a sickle, so shaped kind of like a crescent moon. So when it's moving through my body, it's like, imagine putting an orange through tights, it will just fall through. Like if you put an orange in your leggings, they're just gonna fall through. Whereas if you put a banana, it's gonna be like getting stuck. So unfortunately, sometimes my blood cells get stuck in random places in my body and cause extremely painful crises. Nobody would look at me and assume that. So that's what I always remember when it comes to, I guess, negativity that I'm experiencing. I always remember that you never ever know what someone else is going through. So that's why show them love in those situations, so that they will understand that, okay, like you can project negativity, but I'll always project positivity onto you. And then hopefully my projection onto you would allow you to, soak that in and start to project positivity too. And even if they don't, at least, like, these are things that will stick. These are memories that will stick. You never know what memory will stick into someone's head. So for me, yeah, it's always showing up authentically as myself, always showing love to people. They say love thy neighbor. They say love your enemies. And I don't have enemies. I love everybody. But that's the goal. That's just how I do it. But also saying that it's easier to say that than it is to actually act that out in real life. And that's why I also think it's important to know your limits as well. And that's something I have to do with my health too. I have to know my limits, otherwise I can end up in hospital for weeks on end. So by knowing my limits when it comes to social media, I'll be honest, I have a 1 hour limit on social media every single day. So if I exceed that hour, that's that. And I don't read my comments anymore, because I used to try and wake up before everyone else in the morning to delete my comments. But now I'm just like, whatever. I don't really care anymore. Like, I'm just gonna leave them there. My limit is there, and that's it. And you just have to respect those limits within yourself. And yeah, so that's basically.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. In regards to my next question, it's very much for Joy-Tendai. It is, who and what inspired you to pursue your career, and how have you drawn from that source of inspiration in tough moments? And I just wanted to flag, this is a fangirl moment for me personally, because when I was doing the entrance exam for the Honourable Society of Kings Inn, my first point of contact was to go on the Bar of Ireland's website and Google every person of colour I can find to build confidence to say, you know what, you're not going to be the only woman of color in the room. And I thank you for being one of those people on that tab that I can say, you know what, if Joy-Tendai can do it, maybe little old me can sit these exams. I didn't go down to the bar. I didn't get that far, guys. I qualified, but my confidence only goes so far. But
We'll get you to the bar. Slowly, slow steps, baby steps, we'll get you there.
But even to say I did those exams, you were my source of inspiration to know it's okay. I might not be able to see 30 faces of women of color in the room, but there's at least one that I know is going to have a smile, have the braids that I usually wear half the time and the fine jewelry, and know that I'm not sticking out like a sore thumb. So what I'm very curious to know, Joy-Tendai, is who inspired you to pursue your career as barrister at law, and how do you draw upon that inspiration?
You're gonna make me cry.
I'm sorry.
But I'm really I know I'm really grateful because, and to hear that it takes a person of such great magnitude to give someone their flowers, and for me, my success is not. Sorry. My success is not being the biggest, baddest lawyer. It's to have people like you who see the way. And if that's all I get and not become the most wealthiest lawyer in the world, I'll be the richest woman. So, thank you for letting me know. Sorry, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for existing. Without you, I wouldn't be here. You're an inspiration to many. I don't think you know, but you are.
Are we for real right now?
Too much hot energy.
No, you're fine. I'm hoping.
Is this a drill?
I'm not sure. Is it a drill? Thank you. The universe was like, too many emotions. Come on, guys. As I was saying, thank you, Joy-Tendai, for inspiring my legal career, the legal career of many women I know who are women of color, maybe not in this jurisdiction, but others, and for inspiring so many young Black women to come during this time, after this time, well into the future. I always tell, I know, the young girls I know from West Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa who are on the LL.B and their first questions, I want to practice, but I don't see a face I know. And you're the face that I point to. You're the LinkedIn that I forward on. You're the name I'm like, here you go. If you copy and post this into LinkedIn or on Google, you will find so much information on Joy-Tendai because joy is an inspiration. So as your name says, in regards to bringing joy and hope, you bring that even without trying. So thank you for inspiring not only myself, but so many to come after in law and other industries. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for giving me my flowers. So I know the question you'd asked me, but before I answer that, I just want to say to you both ladies that your stance, the way that you handle, as you say, the gremlins, and all the haters. I mean, we're celebrating Black history, and one thing I think what Black excellence does is that it steers or it invokes a mirror on people's accomplishments. We're not supposed to be in the space that we're occupying. If we were on the African continent, we wouldn't be, we probably no one would know us in essence, like in as much as standing out. We stand out because we're in, I suppose, not in the place that we're supposed to be. But the thing, as we see from people like Martin Luther King, from Malcolm X, from Harriet Tubman, everyone that's there, Rosa Parks that have been there, is that you do not you stand up in your pride and excellence. And standing up in the pride of excellence is the same thing, deal with the trolls, gremlins. I'm going to share. My work. I am an independent practitioner, so I'm self-employed, and my name is on, and my details are public knowledge. And one of the things to say to you, like to you both ladies, is that I always have a constant barrage of people who I don't know attacking me, and I can't take that. And what was said to me was, take off your picture of the law library. First of all, I spent too much money on the photographer. That's my money maker. That picture cost me that, the amount of, when I look at that picture, that shows it encapsulates my journey. And for me to take it off so that people don't know that I'm a Black woman and stop that, that's letting them win. And I'm not going to do that. So it is important to stay. As to your question, the person that inspired me to want to pursue to be where I am is my father reading me, randomly reading me the decision in Brown and the Education Board in the US, which was the case of Ruby Bridges, and seeing Ruby being defiant. And that was my father's way of saying, I was going to a school where I was the only Black girl, and at times getting there and being mocked about my hair, mocked about my nose, my features. And my dad just read that and told me, you see what Ruby is going through? I'm not saying she should have gone through that, but you are going to have to deal with this situation and find the courage. And I asked myself, what can I do to make sure that little girls like me, I never thought, to be honest, when I was growing up, I never thought that apartheid would end. I never thought, I thought we'd always live in a segregated world. But I wanted little girls to know that they were worth it. And if it took me doing something about it and inspiring people like Precious, and one of the things that I started doing was writing poetry. And one of my poems that I wrote was actually read in the United Nations about the little Black girl who stood up to apartheid. So, and that is why I kept on writing. And also looking at the great people, like my inspiration is Nelson Mandela. He, being the culture and the person that he is, really inspired me. And because our house was a safe house for the ANC, it's a bit of history, which led to my dad being actually abducted and being a prisoner of conscience during apartheid, which ended up killing him. So that as well, I'd say my dad and my mother, for those are all people that have made me, because my mom taught me that with education, I can be anyone. And with education, the education that they gave me, I managed to travel to Ireland, start off doing something else, but now I'm in a position where I can be the voice of those people, not the voiceless, but the voice of those whose voices are not usually heard.
Thank you, Joy-Tendai. In regards to my next question, it's for Blessing. How do you personally balance the demands of representation with being a role model an advocate and at times a first with your personal ambitions and general well-being. You described in great detail how you've been trolled, verbally abused, derogatory terms thrown at you for no reason whatsoever. So how do you balance, I guess, being in the spotlight and pushing forward with taking a moment to step back and think of your mental health and your physical health?
Thank you.
Sorry for the deep question.
I'm the breath. Because I'm trying to be as honest, because I think everyone here gave up their time, and even when we had the big break in transmission and came back, everyone that was here still came back. So I think I owe everyone a lot of honesty. I don't personally excel at work-life balance. I am horrible at it, and I am just learning. Every year I kind of have a little theme for my life. I know I romanticize my life that much, guys. You should try it. It's fantastic. And this year's theme is rest. And I was like, oh, rest, I just take a nap. And I didn't know how much of rest I didn't know. And I think it's sometimes saying no. It's sometimes being honest with yourself when you can't. Like, you would feel like, oh, I should do more. But you can only pour from a full cup. You can't pour anything from an empty cup. And all the work I have done, because I've always done advocacy like since 2014. I stumbled on an audition and initially was studying quantity surveying, did my first degree, did my master's, and then came here to do journalism. But even during that time, I was working at grassroots campaigns, women's rights, because I'm from northern Nigeria. And there are certain issues around like women's rights and insurgency and intercultural and interfaith harmony, and here it will relate to interracial and interreligious. So it's just the same issues transcending time and transcending locations and transcending interests. So I think realizing that you can't pour from an empty cup, you can't give what you don't have, is something that has kept me grounded. And I'm really, really grateful to my family for never silencing my voice, never saying I can't, never letting me say I can't. Like, they're like, oh, you're sad, you didn't get this thing, fine, cry, here's a cookie, what do you want to do about it? And if I'm like, oh, I want to chart the course forward, like, okay, let's do that. If you want this big thing and you can't get that now, what can you do to get there? So for instance, like I think I made a video a few weeks back about excellence not being the big thing that we think it is little steps, the legacy of excellence, like little steps towards getting to that place you want to be. So it's little contributions towards getting there. It's, I moved here, I'm starting from literally, I won't say nothing because it costs a lot to be here. Because I came to study here and you have to pay the school fees in full and whatever. So I won't say I'm starting from nothing, but I'm starting here. All the work I had done, all the accolades I had in Nigeria doesn't necessarily translate here. So you're starting to network, you're starting to put yourself out there, to learn the culture, to learn the language, to learn the micro behaviors and everything to help yourself integrate to get somewhere. And earlier I was chatting to Precious, I was like, oh, how did you see, because I don't know anyone from here previously to meeting everyone today. I was like, how did you see my work? And she's like, oh, I see your videos on LinkedIn. And I just sometimes post some of the videos I make on LinkedIn. I would most likely use other platforms more actively. But she's like, yeah, I saw a video. And I'm like, yeah, we should definitely have you speak at this thing. And it is those little, your name being mentioned, but it may not look like much because you're hoping to see a bajillion people like your stuff, but you really just need one person to watch your stuff, to like your stuff, to consider you. So if I'm to say how I balance it, is also that I don't like to look at myself as a role model. Interestingly, I like to see myself as a person on a journey, getting somewhere. We put a lot of weight, and Black women and Black men, and the concept of Black excellence is a thing that you have to overperform to be seen. Or sometimes, like, people, I was at this poetry show for kind of Black History Month theme, and they're like, if with Black excellence you're having to do a million times more work to get your foot in the door, and that shouldn't be the case, but that's unfortunately where we are right now. So it is, I don't like to see myself as a role model, and I would always say, let us all look up to Jesus and leave him with all the looking up to. But as for me, so this means it takes away the pressure for me for feeling like I have people's life responsibilities. So I could opt out of here now and go home and wear my onesie and dance around and watch cartoons, because I don't feel like I'm anybody's adult motivation. like I am making change, I'm inspiring change, I am breaking boundaries and like being the first at certain things. But that's one thing I do. That's not my whole life. And I will enjoy the other little things that make me Blessyn, as opposed to being like, oh my God, what will this person think? Because I think that's a responsibility we often put on ourselves. And it greatly affects how we enjoy our own lives. So striking that balance is learning and unlearning, and also having people to hold you accountable sometimes, like your friends. Being friends with people who have your interests or have similar direction would reduce the panic you have about doing certain things. And about the first, I think I'll just touch on that briefly, sorry. And it was, for instance, with the CNN Academy, that was the first cohort. I was at Griffith College when I saw the opportunity. And I was like, oh, I want to apply for this thing. But they say you have to go to Abu Dhabi, and you also have to be in your home country, and you also have to produce a full documentary. And I was doing my master's at the time. I was like, oh, should I apply for this thing? Oh my God, I'm not in my home country. Oh my God, I have this master's going on. I was like, you know what? And I chatted to my family, and they said, well, you submit a lot of things, and also try your hands on so many things. Like I see an application, I don't even sometimes check who has won it. I just put my pitch out there. Like if they get back to me, okay, that's great. If they don't, we move. And I did submit it, and I had an interview with them, and here, because I used to live on campus, so here. And they're like, yeah, we have selected you. You're among the 15 people. And I didn't know how big it was, because I was like, oh, I'm sure this has been running. Apparently it's like 15 in about 6,000 people in the world. Oh, yeah. And I was the only West African. So not just Nigerian, I was the only West African, and West Africa has loads of countries. And I did not realize it until that moment. But also, so when I got that, I then was like, how am I going to navigate this? And I went to Barry Finnegan from Department of Media, and I was like, oh, Barry, I got this opportunity, but I know I'm in school and I know I have exams. How are we going to work this? And he's like, you know what, Blessyn, it's fine. Your grades up until this point, you're a good student. This is a wonderful opportunity. The school will make it work. So I think just asking is something especially like my experience as a Nigerian, growing up in Nigeria, moving here as an adult is definitely different from someone being born and raised here or someone who came here younger. And just being able to access that, and then they made consensus. Okay, so I traveled, came back, did a documentary while doing my thesis, while traveling, and I was able to submit things like while being at home. And just making that consensus was really something I greatly appreciated, and I will always thank Griffith College for their support for that.
Thank you so much, Blessyn. And Aishah, I'm very curious to know your views on this, because you seem to do a lot of work in regards to building a network, if you will, especially with younger girls who want to get into pageantry and media. How, in your view, do you think having mentorship or community plays in sustaining a sense of pride and power? And how, also, I guess a double-edged question, how have you built a supportive network for yourself and others also?
Okay. In terms of mentorship, I think mentorship is extremely important. I've spent a lot of money on mentorship. So when I think of mentorship, the first thing I think of is me when I was younger, like little Aishah, little ballerina Aishah that never said a word to any human being at all. I was the most quiet kid ever. Nobody would believe that now because I talk a lot, but I was extremely quiet growing up. And when I decided what I want to do in life, I based those decisions on the representation that I saw. And obviously the representation that I saw were my mum and my dad. And my dad actually studied law in Griffith. That's why I came to study law in Griffith. And my mum's a scientist, but I failed chemistry in school, so I don't think that was ever going to be the route for me. So I think first of all, I think representation is extremely important, but I also think having good mentors is of even more important. And that's why even when I started my nonprofit, when I started Recrowned Ireland, mentorship was at the core of it. And we were working with secondary school students coming to Griffith College, to rooms here, to meet with people in different industries who that they were aspiring to go into. And with the young girls I do work with till today in Recrowned Ireland, I see how important mentorship is to them, and a lot of them see that too, especially for a young Black girl, because of I feel like a lot of us base what we want to do on representation in that field. And unfortunately, for me growing up, there wasn't representation in the areas that I wanted to be in. And like, I love the way you were speaking about the fact that obviously you ended up being the first, you ended up being, I get you probably didn't even realize that at the time, but you ended up being that representation, and so did you for a lot of young girls. But I see how much mentorship is important, because a lot of young girls come to me to specifically ask, do you know anybody who does this? Do you know anybody who does that? And then I'm like, don't know them, but I could find them for you. And then I'll text, then put them in contact. And like, that's how you know, like, that's how we are going to build the next generation. Because for us, we kind of had to become that representation for the next generation. And I'm so excited for the next generation of young Black girls in Ireland who actually do have people in specific spaces that they can go to and gain that mentorship. So I think it is really, really of extreme importance. The second half of that question was?
How have you built or found networks for yourself and others?
Okay, the way, this is gonna sound crazy, but I just knocked on doors.
I'm excited. Yeah.
So when I was 18, competing in Miss Universe Ireland for the first time, because I competed twice, well, once, and then the second time I won. But the first time I competed, I was 18, and they said we need sponsors. I was like, I don't know what that means, but okay. They're like, just go to businesses and ask them, you'll be fine. What do you mean I'm an 18-year-old that just came out of secondary school. What do you mean, like, knock on a door and say, hi, can you sponsor me? But I was like, whatever, let me just do it. Went around to, like, I live in Leixlip, so I went out around to, like, every single business in Leixlip, like hair salon, solicitors firm, anything you could imagine, I was there. Knocking on the door, like, hi, I'm doing Miss Universe Ireland. Sorry, we don't have any, like, you know what I mean? And in Leixlip, it's like structured in a very interesting way. So you're kind of walking through estates before you get to, like, certain businesses. And then we have a beautiful village that has basically nothing in there except for accountancy firms, solicitor firms, and, like, 2 cafes. Get to Leixlip village, and I'm knocking. I've been walking for probably an hour and a half now. Then I'm like, oh my God, should I go up the hill? We have a really big, long hill. I'm like, should I go up this hill? Everyone has said no. Like, I've knocked on, like, probably 50 doors now. Everyone has said no. I'm like, oh, I've had that many rejections. What's 5 more up the hill? The ones up the hill, they're all Chinese food, takeaway places. So I'm like, whatever, let me just go see if any. And then there's 2 hair salons. Walk up the hill. First one I knock on the hill, I'm like, hi. So, and by now I'm more confident because I've been saying it to everyone. So I'm like, now I don't really care if they say, I'm expecting a no now. So I'm like, I'm gonna go in here with confidence. Knock on this door. I'm like, hi, I'm doing Miss Universe Ireland 2018, and I'm looking for a sponsor. And I said it like that, and they're like, yeah, come on, let's go to the ATM. I was like, wait, is this how businesses operate? I was like, oh, okay, yeah. They're like, how much do you need? I was like, I think the sponsorship is €600. Yeah, that's fine, let's go. I'm like, huh? I was like, why couldn't this be the first place I knocked on? But I understand why, because that's one of the first things that taught me rejection. And I feel like that equipped me for, like, the next things I did in my life, for modeling as well. Like, you know yourself, like, modeling anywhere, you're going to be rejected left, right, and center. But so in every single thing I ended up doing in my life, now I'm not afraid of rejection, even in the slightest. And I feel like when you're not afraid of rejection, welcome guys. And when you're not afraid of rejection, it makes it a lot easier to approach people. It makes it a lot easier to go for things that you would not normally go for. It makes it a lot easier to add random people on LinkedIn and ask them if you know they have an opportunity for you. And that also, yeah. So essentially, like, that's what I always say. Like, I always say, find ways to even experience rejection as well, so that it will build up that confidence in you to, I guess, meet new people who will think of you as well. And so yeah, that's what I would say. But my number one thing is just add people on LinkedIn and actually talk to them. And it's probably the easiest way to build your network. And we're very lucky to have online platforms to do that as well. And then I love Griffith College. Like, Griffith College has my heart. I came here from the age of 17 to the age of, can't remember, 20. And when I got here, that it's what even, I'll be honest, it's what even taught me that I can be proud in being a Black woman, because it was such a multicultural school. And obviously I had grown up in Leixlip, as I mentioned. So I grew up in a school, and most people around me were white girls that I still love, hang out with every day. But obviously when I got to Griffith College, I met. So I was able to build my network here. And sorry to do this to you, Mariam. But Mariam, in the audience here, she became my best friend in first year. And she's been with me through every single thing that I've done through starting Recrowned Ireland. She's the one that encouraged me. Miss Universe, she encouraged me. Anything you could imagine that I have done, building that network of people in Griffith College who encouraged me. And even just sitting here today is I was saying it this morning on my Snapchat story, guys. I was saying, being here this morning is such a 180-degree moment. I don't feel like, I said 360-degree moment, but I was like, I'm not in first year of uni, but 180-degree moment again for us, because obviously she's currently lecturing here now. And we literally started here together as young, she was 16, I was 17, young law students, and then obviously me even being able to sit here and speak now. So it's it is being rejected, it is building that network, but actually go out, meet people, because you never ever know who's going to be your right hand girl or right hand man or right hand whatever to bring you and encourage you and push you through the next moment. And also you need people around you, not just people pleasers, but people who will also challenge you, people who will also ensure that you have constructive criticism as well, so that you can always build on whatever it is you're doing. The last thing I wanted to say was, I always say to not kind of look around at other people. Always, I think it was Serena Williams that said this. I don't play tennis or watch it or anything like that, but I remember she said, uplift other successful women. And I just think that's so important, as opposed to looking at other people as, I guess, competition. And I know this is crazy coming from a pageant girl, but don't look at other people as competition, but look at yourself as competition. Look at past yourself as competition and be like, okay, I need to make sure I'm better than how I was yesterday. I need to make sure that I reach out to this many people today. I need to make sure that I build my network, and obviously setting tangible goals in doing that. Not just I want to post on LinkedIn. Set a number to that as well. You know what I mean? Because even as we saw, Blessyn posting on LinkedIn has given her an opportunity here today as well. So just make sure you're always setting tangible goals as well. That's the last thing I wanted to say.
Aishah, I just wanted to say, because the lawyer in me is always, I need to quote fact, but I think to paraphrase what you wanted to say is, clap for others until it is your turn.
Period.
That's it.
Thank you. And I think my final question is for every member of our esteemed panel is, if you were to imagine a young woman looking up at you today, what is one piece of advice you would offer her for finding and standing confidently in her own power and pride? I'll start with Blessyn.
Thank you. I would say, don't shrink. Don't shrink for anything. There's no point shrinking. I am a big advocate of shamelessness. So I would say, be shameless. And if you struggle with being shameless, ask yourself, who taught you shame? Think back at it. What's your first experience of realizing you have internalized shame? And then you'd be able to find where you lost your own self and then grow from there. everything you want to do is definitely on the other side of shame. So how do you have this goal? Yes, you have to show up. Did she want to be a Miss Universe? Yes, she had to go and knock on doors. It's difficult, it's embarrassing, it's cringe-worthy to be knocking and be like, please give me money. But she did, and she did become Miss Universe. Did she want to be a lawyer? Yes, she wanted to be a lawyer. She did some other work that wasn't law, you mentioned, and then you're a lawyer now. And even running this event or you being here, anything you want to do, just look at it and just do it. You will improve, because I think most times we think perfection, and I'm thinking to myself as well, perfection is great, but you don't start if you're waiting for perfection. You don't start that project, you keep waiting, you just never get around to it. So just start and fix it up as you go. If I passively have been posting on YouTube, for instance, for maybe many years. Like so far back, I have a Power Director watermark on my videos. That's how, like, I don't even know if anyone knows Power Director anymore. But yeah, it's on my videos. It's that old. And if I'm looking back now to complain about things going on or things not working out, I can look back at those videos and be like, actually, they did work out. Actually, you said you wanted to make documentaries, and you do make documentaries now. And it's such a funny full circle moment, because like earlier this week we were at the Digital Media Awards with Women's Aid. The podcast studios produced a podcast for them, Two Into You podcast, which you should definitely take the quiz to spot red flags in your relationships or in your friends' relationships, and how to identify green flags. Fantastically produced podcast, and I'm not plugging this because I'm the producer.
Not wink wink.
Wink wink. But it was funny because we had Women's Aid just like 2 floors down here speaking to our class, and they were talking to us, and we had to write an article, part of our assessment. And we're sitting at the award with them, with Mary Hayes at the Digital Media Awards, where the podcast was nominated for Best Use of Audio, and so with my company as well. And I was like, do you remember coming to Griffith College like 2023 or 2024 to talk to people? And she said, yeah. I was like, I was in that class. And it was just very funny because she was like, oh my God, you were in that class. And we just did that because we felt like the next generation of people that will be in decision-making positions needed to know that these were certain issues women were facing, and then be able to put it to the front. So things do come full circle. And I promise, I know you've heard it a million times, but I swear it's going to get better. So that's my final.
Thank you. Joy-Tendai?
So standing in your authenticity and standing with people that stand with you. And I'm a strong believer in giving people their flowers. And I know she's going to be embarrassed. I wouldn't have gone through my access course without Hazel Ellis standing behind. You believed in us, in our madness. And I was so delighted to see you today. And it's not about being from the same race or, cultural background. You find people that stand with you and believe with you. And Hazel, thank you for our time together. I really appreciate it. I can't picture you. It's not you. It's every time my emotions come out. You have a superpower. You have a superpower at this point.
Yeah. Aishah, you're close
Aishah, if we can continue. We just wrong.
I guess the last thing I would say is, well, in terms of my advice that I would give a young woman is, number 1, to wake up with a purpose, and number 2 is there's power in your adversity. A lot of people are going through so many tough things in this world, and we don't know what a lot of people are going through. So also give kindness to people. I'm trying to make it short so we can Thank you. And for everyone in attendance, thank you very much. Apologies for the second intermission. It wasn't planned whatsoever. But thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we have a flower.